All right. We are back with episode number 2 of the mixing series. Today, I want to talk a little bit about automation. I get questions a lot of the time of like when it comes to the bass lines that I'm putting in and the piano, since they have so much low end, how am I keeping them from not clashing? I also get asked a lot like when you hear the piano on its own, how is it having so much low end and then not clashing when the bass comes in? And that's going to deal with automation. And that's what I like to do a lot for stuff like this. This is the beat I'm going to use for the example today. So immediately you'll see that there's a piano right in the beginning, right? And it has a lot of low end in it. Put those root notes really low down, and then you'll see that 808 kick and pad come in. So honestly, this one's probably the easiest one out of all the examples we're going to do today as far as automation goes. But what I like to do for this is go ahead and automate an EQ. So if we go over to the piano, what I'm going to do is just take out some low end, and I'll use a low shelf. You can use a high pass filter, low cut, but I'm just going to use a shelf real quick, and let me just actually EQ it fully. So now that we have this, what I'm going to do is actually create an automation clip, right? So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to create automation clip, and I'm going to cut this. You guys have seen this in a lot of my videos. I do like an on and off switch is what I call it. And I'm going to come over here, duplicate it, make unique, and go like this. So now you'll see if it's here, it's off. If it's here, it's on, right? So what I want to do is have that EQ on when that bass is in so that it moves out of the way. So now you're going to hear a lot of low end in the piano, but when this comes on, it's going to cut off. So let's go ahead and just listen to that. But what's going to happen is that bass is actually going to come in and fill those root notes in, and it's going to kind of trick the ear that you're hearing that low end. So what's cool is now that we have these little on and off switches, what I call them, we can come over here, right, where you don't see any bass, right? The 808's out. So we can actually go ahead and cut it off again and bring it back when it comes in here. So you'll see now that's going to be turned off. So that means the low end's coming through, right? And there it is. There we have it. So we can come over here again, turn it off where there's no bass. And this one's actually going to get dragged out all the way over here. And then it should be the same throughout. So we can honestly just go through here and bring it back when the 808s come in, and then we could just go from there and figure that out for the whole beat. So that's a really cool way that you can kind of move it. It's a very basic way, but something I've been doing for a long time. And then the other thing I kind of want to talk about while we're talking about automation is like getting the bass to have more upper harmonics on the hook, and that can kind of trick the ear to think that the hook sounds bigger, right? Because that's kind of what you want to do a lot of the time when you're mixing full songs is get the hook, the chorus to be louder, to be the main part of the song. And there's little tricks that you could do throughout, like making the chorus a dB and a half, 2 dB louder than the rest of the track every time it comes in. So it builds up and just, gets really loud. For beat mixing, you're probably not going to do that. But one other thing I like to do sometimes is kind of accent some harmonics on the actual hook low end, right? So for this 808 right here, I'm going to come over here. There's a bunch of different plugins we can use. I'm going to just pull up Decapitator, and I'm going to figure out a tone that I like on the actual hook. And I do have Decapitator on the final mix of this. I took it off to show for this tutorial. So this is actually what I did use on the beat. So let's go ahead, press play, and let's dial in a tone. That'd actually be pretty cool too if we automated that so it comes out at the end, and then right at the end, wow. but that's not what we're gonna do. But we could try it, but let's go ahead and just get a tone, like I said. So I think this sounds good here, and I'm gonna do that same thing. I'm gonna create another automation clip. I'm gonna come over here, and I'm gonna go and cut it off for the verses. So when it comes in on the verse, I don't want it there. I just kind of want to have it accented on the hook. So we'll just cut it off for the whole verse like this. All right, we can make this long. The whole verse is there, and the hook comes back in over here. So boom, like that. And then we could take this one and go like this. You guys have seen me do this a lot of times, especially for beat videos where I'm like doing automations and kind of cutting things on and off. And this really helps out because it can start to, for the bass at least, accents it on the hook. And then while we're talking about automation, another thing I want to talk about is just kind of getting a little bit of movement, right? So with this vocal again, let's come over to the vocal. We'll see that we have a parametric EQ, right? Let's give this some movement. So let's come over here and let's go ahead, and this is set here. Let's automate right here. So let's create automation clip. And this is going to be for the vocal. So let's cut here and here. And I want to keep it how it is, how I have it set. So I'm going to keep this one by itself, how it is, make unique on this one. And then I can kind of sit here and mess with this and adjust it. And you're going to see what's going to happen. So let's just create something like, I don't know, random real quick, so you can see the movement of it. And then we'll come over to the vocal. Obviously that doesn't sound too good, but I just kind of wanted to show you the movement that's happening. So from here, what we could do is just make this a little larger, and we can actually just kind of give this a little bit of movement, right? And then let's go ahead and make this a little bit like this. Make this a little bigger. And then something like this. Oh, that part fades out nice. Now it comes back in. So obviously you could do a lot with automation. These are just kind of little tips and tricks that I like to do on certain parts, especially like vocals or subs, whatever it is. If I'm going to be moving some low end or accenting some low end, you know, real quick tricks you could do if you want to get like louder on the hook. You could actually just make things unique like this, right? Maybe you want to make the piano velocity a little bit louder, so you go something like this. You can make the drums a tiny bit louder, and then when the hook comes in, they'll kind of hit a little bit harder and kind of accent it. But just small tips and tricks if you want to just accent, like I said, those hooks. Get the low end to kind of trick the ear, make you think you're hearing it, and then the bass comes in and kind of takes over. Just small things like that. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Like I said, for this series, I'm just going to be dropping random things that I like to do in mixes while I randomly think about them or do them in a mix. Let's say I mix a beat, right, and then do something like, oh cool, I could share that. Then I'll go ahead and drop a video on that. There'll be vocal ones coming very soon. I want to create a whole track from scratch and then get some people to get on it so I could actually mix it. So I'm working on that in the background, so you guys will have that coming this year, which I'm super excited about. But for now, like I said, random just video series of mixing tips and things that I like to do in the mix as time goes by. So if you guys do like the series, let me know in the comment section below. You guys can follow me on all social medias at Lifestyle Did It. Make sure to hit my site lifestyledidit.com for everything else. Other than that, subscribe to your boy, push notifications. Thanks.